It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Get in the van. We're going for our Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. And as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, a guest joining the podcast today, Breiden Fehoko joining the podcast. How we doing, pal?
I appreciate you guys for having me. I'm excited to talk some Steeler football with you guys, man. They're playing great. They look great. The vibes are high. It's probably because the media members are at an all-time high right now.
There we go. I'm sure Alan appreciates hearing that. I'll be honest. First thing that I noticed when I looked at Braiden's setup here, I hope that everybody's watching this episode on YouTube and not listening to this one. I think this is one you got to watch on YouTube. The setup, man, like you're outdoing us that have been doing the podcast thing for quite some time. I'm a little bit envious, especially the color, like that purple that you got going on there. I don't know if it's an LSU thing or what, if that was by design, but it looks beautiful back there.
I'm a closet Baltimore Raven fan. No, I'm totally joking.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well, everybody just now left the episode. So
now that the audience is gone, we can have a little friendly chat. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, good stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of different things on today's episode, but mainly, Brayden, we want to start out talking about you, your football journey, stuff like that. I'll be honest, first question that pops into mind for me, man, is just like somebody that's in your position, right? Are you still like sitting there? You're kind of like always on go, ready for that phone call to come? Or, you know, what is the mindset of somebody that's in your position? Maybe that's just waiting around for that call.
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, I've had a few calls actually come in. All of them practice squad opportunities with other teams as well. But you know, just after talking with my wife and my family, I told them at this point in my career, you know, I wasn't going to get off the couch unless it was for a 53-man roster opportunity. You know, just because at this point, you know, my son's getting older and he's starting to realize when dad's not home and when dad's here. And I figured it's this most important time of his life and, you know, our family's life where, you know, being present is one of the greatest gifts you can do. And so, I've had calls from two teams to, you know, one was after camp and one was right after cut day, to get out there, work out and join their practice squad. But like I said, unless it's a 53-man opportunity, and I have been in shape, I'm in great shape right now, but there's really no rush to do it.
Gotcha.
You looked like you were in great shape. You did come to the Steelers training camp this year for a couple weeks, and you looked like you were in great shape then. How tough is it to like stay there when you're at home by yourself?
Man, it's one of the hardest things, you know, now, especially having a son. You know, being away from family is never easy, especially when you know, you're not based out of Pittsburgh. You know, for a lot of those older guys like Cam and TJ, those guys live in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's home for them. So, you know, when we have days off in Latrobe, you're able to just go drive back to, you know, Sewickley or Wexford, you know, where those guys live, and just be with your family. And for me, it was, you know, staying in the dorms up at Latrobe, and it's kind of humbling for a little bit. You know, you get the camaraderie around the guys, but you tend to be a little homesick, especially, you know, when the little ones start coming out and they recognize that dad isn't home. So that's one of the tough things about it. But, you know, in this job, that's what you sign up for. You know, that's one of the many blessings, and I wouldn't say a curse, but, you know, one of the negative sides you don't really get to see about this part of the game.
Well, you've been staying busy, and you've been dabbling. This setup isn't just for you to show up on the afternoon drive, as much as we would like to flatter ourselves by thinking you did all that just for us. But you've been dabbling in the podcast side of things. How's that experience been going for you?
It's been going good. You know, I have my YouTube channel going right now at Breiden Fehoko 96. Working with one of my private producers right now. We're getting the logistics going. We're going to start running my live show here weekly. And we're just excited. I'm just excited to, you know, pop into this media space. And, you know, it's funny, pretty much my media connects in my phone. I'm kind of like the rookie in the room again, texting them and blowing them up like, hey, like, how do I go about this? Or, you know, what does this setup take? And what kind of questions do I need to ask? And it's funny because, you know, a lot of them are like, man, like, you're a natural at this, but I'm treating it like as I'm a rookie in the room, man. I don't know, you know, jack squat about this realm and this space. And, you know, I'm all ears at this point in my life that I'm stepping into. But it's cool. I'm excited about it. You know, I love this part of my career. This is what I've always wanted to do. I majored in college. I majored in broadcast journalism in college. And so this has always been a passion of mine. I'm just excited to be there for the fans and, just be a bridging gap for them to understand the game on a different level. And honestly, just give my takes and my opinions. And hopefully some people find it, interesting and funny along the way. And of course, there's going to be people that won't like it, but that's what we're entitled to. Opinions are like ass cheeks. Everyone's got them.
It's actually part of your bio.
Yes.
But yeah, I was getting ready to say as you were kind of going through there that maybe I could offer some advice. I've been doing the podcast thing for 8 years.
Please do.
When Alan came to me wanting to do this, there were some things I feel like I had to teach him about the podcasting space. But then you said you went to school for broadcasting stuff, so there's probably questions that I have for you. But I actually want to know, so is this just going to be like within the sports space here? Because I know another big passion of yours is the meats. Much like Arby's, you got the meats.
Zach, I'm so glad you said that, but you lost me on Arby's there. I think Arby's is one of the worst.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry for saying that. I just wanted to use our slogan more than anything else.
No, I'm totally joking with you. A lot of people have tried to tell me, man, just grow it beyond sports. Don't just be one dimensional. Give people insight to your life. Give people insight into your likes, your dislikes. Show people what it's like outside of football. Show them the Breiden Fehoko that people don't get to see on a regular basis. And that for me, I have a passion for smoking meats. It sounds funny that I'm a big guy, but I thoroughly enjoy being in the kitchen cooking. And it's weird. I tell my wife that just to stay out of the kitchen. I mean, it's Harrison Butker wouldn't like hearing that comment, but I'm the guy that does the cooking in our household. And, I'm the guy that if I see a ribeye on sale at the store or some brisket, I'm going to throw it on the smoker and I'm going to find different ways to cook. And that's a passion of mine.
So you're from Hawaii, obviously, and you're in Texas now. Where's the barbecue influence? Are you getting a little fusion there?
I'm trying to dabble in this Hawaiian Texas barbecue combination. I haven't told anyone. You guys are the first to actually hear this, but I'm working with one of my buddies. We're going in half on a restaurant. We're trying to get the logistics down on a Hawaiian Texas barbecue restaurant out here. First of its kind. It's going to combine Texas smoking meats with a little bit of Hawaiian flavor in it. And we're excited. We're working on it right now. We have we just got passed for the grant to build our, to take over the space for the last tenants that were there. And so we're excited. We're just getting things going right now. And hey, we're learning trial by error here. It's not going to be perfect, but I can guarantee you if I get in that kitchen, the food's going to be good.
Yeah. If you ever need anybody to just do some quality control, just hit me up. I'll definitely volunteer as a tribute there.
Please do.
That sounds incredible.
You're talking about quality control. I was going to say maybe set up for a live podcast at some point from there.
Yeah.
I mean, the ideas are flowing right now for all that. That's awesome, man. What do you not have your hand in right now? I mean, it just seems like you're just trying to dive into everything.
That's the great thing, and being and playing football for as long as I did has allowed me these opportunities, to dabble in this, figure out what I want to do there. And I'm just blessed, man, just being able to sit here and be passionate and do what I love to do, what I wake up, every day. And that's talking about the sport of football that's given me so much and cooking and also golfing. But I'm not where I want to be in that part of my game. But it's got some, ups and downs. Unfortunately, when you become a dad, you don't get to golf as much as you did before the kids. So that has taken a step back in the back seat. But I'm just, man, Zach, I'm excited, man. I get to do a little bit of all. I'm trying to be Mr. Everything around the house and just try to be the guy, the Mr. Entrepreneur, the Mr. Everything, and just be the next guy that does it all.
In your time with the Steelers, this is quite a transition, but I think the question is obviously going to be appropriate to bring up right now. Everybody that I feel like we've had on here that has played under Mike Tomlin, my first thing that I always want to know is just like their favorite thing that they learned from Mike Tomlin, whether it is a story, whether it is a Tomlinism, something you can carry over in your post-playing career, maybe that you're taking right now into all the other things that you are trying to launch. So, what is the one thing that you're carrying over from what you learned from Mike?
One of my favorite Tomlinisms is we're going to try to fit 8 pounds in a 5-pound bag. That's been my favorite since I met Mike T, and he's he's gone through thousands of them every day, since I've been around him for the last 3 years. But whenever I would hear Mike T talk about we got to fit 8 pounds in a 5-pound bag, it always clicked and a light bulb always went off in my head to always maximize every single opportunity. You talk about it, in that last question when you said, what aren't you doing? Part of that is trying to fit 8 pounds in a 5-pound bag, man. I'm trying to do everything. I want to put my hand in everything. I want to get on every type of interview possible, do every single podcast, every single person that reaches out to me. I'm trying to maximize these opportunities, just figuring it out every step of the way. And if I leave no stone unturned, I can look back one day, 5 to 10 years from now and say, you know what? I maximized every opportunity I had and I gave it all my head, whether it's, whether it works out for me or whether it doesn't. I'm doing a different path, but I love being around Mike T. We had great talks and he wanted me to be a coach. He long story short, he wanted me after the 2024 season last year. He wanted me to get into coaching with him. He wanted me to come right in and step up into a coaching position, an analyst position. And I told him, and I said, you know what? I don't know if I'm ready for that. I told him I was a little nervous, and he's like, look, man, there was a great coach that told me, and this was exit meetings, and we're sitting there across from each other. And he's like, there was a great coach that told me one day that I'd make a great head coach. And I didn't see it in myself, but he saw it in me. And he told me, he's like, I see it in you, and if you don't even see it in yourself, trust me, I see it in you. And I'm going to be here for you. And he's always been that helping hand. He always said, long after my career, I'm done playing football, I can always be of any help or resource to myself. He's always made that possible, and that, that phone line available for me.
I could just see the reaction of the defensive line room when Coach Fehoko showed up the first day. I'm just envisioning that right now. It'd be pretty hilarious.
Those guys, they give me so much shit about it. The first day I got back, like I said, I don't know if you remember that interview, but everybody booed me the first day I got back into Pittsburgh. But it was likable boos, man. I miss those guys. I, developed great relationship with those guys. And how this business goes, man. Not everybody gets to have the Cam Hayward, the 13, 14-year illustrious career, being able to be a one helmet guy. Some of them are guys like me where, we're journeymen. We get signed up off the streets and we're probably released 3 weeks later, due to needs. But just great to be around those guys, talk a bunch of smack, try to show off my football knowledge, try to show I'm the smartest guy in the room, even though I'm not. If you ask those guys about me, they're going to say, man, Braiden's going to have an answer for everything. Even if he's wrong, he's going to believe he's right. So, those guys would definitely have a laugh if Coach Fehoko walked into the room.
I could definitely see that. Is that something you, obviously the coaching road is difficult. They talk about time away from your family. Those guys really grind at it. But is that something that you think you would pursue someday?
It's funny enough, I've had a few offers from previous coaches, one in the NFL and 2 in college, that have asked me if I'm, ready to step into that world, in that realm. And, honestly, right now, Alan, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to commit my time to that. And it's great opportunities. I mean, starting pay is, 6 digits, right? And so for me, I couldn't go into something, whether it's coaching, whether it's barbecuing or whether it's podcasting. I couldn't do something if my heart wasn't 100% in it. And so, because I just feel like I'd be cheating the people that depend on me out of my full energy and intent to give them what I have. And so, maybe it's something that 5 years from now I become passionate about, and I say, hey, you know what? Maybe I can go run the spread or wing T somewhere down in South Alabama, right, and get that going. But for now, it's getting my brand built, and growing myself as one of you guys, one of the media members, and try to become iconic in this realm and in this field, and we'll see where it goes from there.
I feel like the one thing that everybody talks about when they do take a step away from the game that they miss more than anything else is the locker room, like being a teammate. And obviously now with you getting into the restaurant world, you have a teammate with that. Is that kind of something that you're still looking for in ways outside of the football world then to still be a teammate, if you will?
Man, that's such a great question. It's so hard, man. The camaraderie of a locker room, the bus rides, the nights at the hotel before the game, playing cards in each other's room, playing pranks on each other, man, on the plane, when a guy's snoring, putting whipped cream on his face, like just stuff like that, man. You miss those, right? There's obviously the days and the summer conditionings and the hot sun where it's brutal, right? But when I think back to it, college days, high school days, NFL time, you went through it together. That's what makes it so special. And there's nothing like the camaraderie of an NFL locker room, college locker room, or a high school locker room. It doesn't matter. But to be a part of a team, to understand the intricate moments you guys share together is so special. And I always suggest it even to the young kids. That I get asked. There's a youth football team out here in my neighborhood, and I show up a lot because my nephew plays for them, and so I'll show up on Wednesdays and Fridays and help coach them or whatever. And I always tell them, I said, man, enjoy this time. Just to be around your friends, playing the game you love, just so pure of emotion, right? There's no money involved, none of that. They're just enjoying each other's company, and that's what you miss and love most about the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so you got to be around for the dog days of this team in training camp for a period of time. Anything you saw then that you're seeing now play out, maybe, or does the success early in the season that you're seeing surprise you to some degree? Obviously, couldn't have seen forecasted a Joe Burrow injury and a Lamar Jackson injury happening within the division. But what do you make of the early returns of the Pittsburgh Steelers season?
I'm finally seeing them utilize Darnell Washington in the way he's supposed to be used. I've always been a Darnell Washington truther. His locker was next to mine in Latrobe for 3 years in a row. He was the first rookie class that was there when I signed with Pittsburgh that offseason, so I've got to watch him grow as a person. Quiet guy. One of the biggest guys, the biggest guy in the locker room, but super quiet, right? Darnell's going to keep to himself. He's super quiet. But, man, I just love how they're starting to use him now. I mean, Aaron's throwing him targets in the passing game, and you reward guys like that. He blocks his ass off. You can talk about he needs to play offensive tackle, he needs to switch, whatever. But when Darnell Washington is on the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers, there is a difference out there, and you can see it. The fans see it. You guys as media members see it, and the coaches know that. And so I'm just super glad that they're starting to get that, and they're starting to buy stock into it. And I love the snap usage they're using them at right now. It shows what he's been able to do in camp and Latrobe through all these years. He's not just a jump ball guy in the red zone or an extra offensive line. He can do it all, and I'm glad he's getting his flowers finally.
Yeah, I thought he's really worked hard at his route running and developing into like a more well-rounded player, and it's really showing now too. And I think having a player like Aaron, I think makes a guy like that much more valuable. He's so savvy with the line of scrimmage in terms of finding a mismatch, finding a weakness in a defense. And when that mismatch happens to be a 6'7", 300-pound guy running through the defense, it turns impactful pretty quickly.
If you watch the Minnesota game, and a lot of people ask me, they're like, what makes Aaron Rodgers so good? Like, why is this team different? Well, when you play a defensive coordinator like Brian Flores, who throws designer looks at you, he's going to show you different type of schemes, schematics, all these different mug looks. An experienced quarterback is going to tell the receivers that, hey, this route concept, this play we're running isn't going to develop how it looks on paper. There were multiple plays in that game where DK was in the slot, and right off the snap, he's looking at Aaron. But the reason is because Minnesota has these linebackers mugged up. He knows that if this route is 7 to 8 yards, I don't have the time to get there by the time these blitzes are blitzing Aaron Rodgers. So with an experienced quarterback like Aaron, he makes it so good. He knows that, hey, this is a mismatch here. This is a read here. So when that ball snaps, if they show this look, you got to look at me instantly. It ain't going to be 7 to 8 yards where you run this route. It's going to be 2 to 3, and then your yards are going to come yak, right? They're not going to be on the catch. And so great things like that, just little observations I can make. That's what makes it so different. That's what having a guy like Aaron, just with the growth of Darnell, with the growth of that offense and just reading mismatches helps so much in this time just for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense.
The question that comes to mind the word that comes to mind for me really to bring up in the form of a question, sustainability. Do you think what you're seeing right now from the offensive side is sustainable? You talked about the Darnell Washington usage. Can they still do that against everybody, or do you think it's like scheme specific that they can utilize him in that way? And then also when you look at why the Steelers have been so good on offense, while it might seem mundane across the board numbers wise, when you look at them on the surface, the one area where they have been really good is in the red zone. So do you feel like this is sustainable, what they're doing on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can be efficient at red zone scoring, that's why the Kansas City Chiefs have been the best in football for the last 5 to 6 years, is because Andy Reid and that plan they have when they get down there in the 20 is to go score. They don't settle for field goals. Yes, unfortunate events may happen. You're going to have to put up 3, but touchdowns are at a premium in this game now. When I look at Pittsburgh, when I look at the offense, is it sustainable? The only thing I'll say is I want to see more of a consistent run game. I think they hit 100 over Minnesota. I don't remember what week they were under 100 against New England, under 100 against Seattle, and under 100 this week. So I would like to see more of a sustainable run game, because that's going to be the key factor to Aaron, to light boxes, to heavier boxes, having a play action game. You looked at the Jets, a lot of when, Ben Skoranek caught his touchdown, it was an 8-man box. The play action was there. Teams were selling out for the run. It was effective. But when you play a team like Baltimore, who Zach Orr likes to run light boxes, he'll deploy 6-man boxes. If you can't run on that, and if you can't get them to commit an extra defender in the box, it's going to be a super long day. And that's what Baltimore's done so well over the years. They did it very successful this week against, the Rams. It just so happens that they don't have Lamar Jackson, but their defense played really well. They held a really good Los Angeles Rams team to, I think, 248 total yards. They had more yards on offense than the Rams.
3 at half. I mean, they were right in that game. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the key. That's the key for me when I look at Pittsburgh this year. The defense is going to play phenomenal. This defense is built on, if you get a 14-point lead in Pittsburgh, the game's over with. Nobody's coming back against this defense, because if you got to sit back there and throw the ball to get yourself back in the game, it ain't going to happen. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Patrick Queen on a blitz. Jalen Ramsey's coming on blitzes now. You ain't going to pass the ball against this defense. Now, if it gets into games where we have, as the Pittsburgh has to pass the ball to catch up and get back in games, then it can get a little dicey for you. It can get a little dicey.
I don't know if you have any relationship with Dylan Gabriel, but I was absolutely just shocked that they had him throw the ball 52 times against his defense.
58 dropbacks.
That is just for a young rookie. It wasn't even you're not even talking about like a first-round pick to go into Pittsburgh against that defense and attempt that game plan. I mean, I can't believe he got through the game without getting hurt or having a turnover. Like, it was just to the wolves. Were you really as surprised as I was that the Browns did that?
Honestly, for me, when I look at the Browns, right, you traded Joe Flacco away. Everybody saw Mike T's comments about Andrew Berry trading a quarterback into a divisional rival. I get it. I'm kind of a glass half empty, half full type of guy. I kind of like it that they dropped back 58 times or however much it was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? That's one of the best vaunting pass rushing fronts you'll see all year if you're Dylan Gabriel. If you can sit back there and go into this next week against the Dolphins, who I believe they play, and you have in mind that, I dropped back 58 times against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was able to make some pretty good throws, I thought. There were some that guys dropped. There were some inherent throws that, he hit. I forgot who it was in the helmet in the red zone. He missed Isaiah Bond, right, on that throw. There's times where you're not going to be perfect. But with Stefanski, he's like, you know what? If this is the last go-around for me, I am not going to shelter this kid. I'm going to go out swinging for the fences. And if it's dropping 50-plus times against one of the best fronts in football to get him going, because you know what? At this point, they have no other option, right? You're on the outside looking in the playoff picture for the Cleveland Browns, so why not take the training wheels off? Get this kid going, right? They just made up maybe 2 games worth of passing action for Dylan Gabriel just by that last game. And even if it wasn't effective, you got him extra reps that just, it's so important for his development as a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's certain. I honestly was not looking at it that way, but I throw him to the fire. That's probably the toughest assignment in terms of the amount of dropbacks and defense that he faced. Speak to the defense that he faced. Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. Want to ask you about a defensive player for the Steelers out of Oregon, and Derek Harmon. Look at the way that since he came into the fold, the Steelers defense has kind of reshaped defensive success rate since he came in 7th in the NFL 41.74% EPA per play, 4th in the NFL since Derek Harmon played his first snap for the Steelers. What did you see from him early in training camp? Did you feel like the return on investment would be this good this early for the Steelers?
Big athletic guy that he's got that finesse to him. 6'5", 6'6", 330, 340 pounds. He's a big human being. He's got long arms. He uses his hands really well. And ever since he's been back, he's been showing that I'm the first round pick for a reason. He went up against a really good offensive line this week with Joel Bitonio, Ethan Posick, and Wyatt Teller. I don't care what anybody says. Those three, you could put them up against any three in the NFL as one of the best interior combos in the league. I think those three, I think very highly of them. Joel Bitonio will have a really good chance to try to make a run for that gold jacket one day. He's definitely going to be a one-helmet guy. Wyatt Teller's a really good player, really good run blocker. Ethan Posick is another solid center. So the way Derek Harmon played and held it down this weekend, he's continuing to show that, hey, you know what? They spent a first-round draft pick on me. I'm the guy, and he's starting to show it in the run game and the pass game. I watched him against the Patriots on limited snap counts. He had a sack, and he's just disruptive, and that's what you want. He played in the 3-4 defense in college. He fits the Pittsburgh scheme, and he's only going to continue to grow. And eventually when Cam Hayward decides to step away and, say his goodbyes to the game of football and the Pittsburgh Steelers, Derek Harmon is your guy that you're looking at to be like, hey, we drafted you, right? This is now your defensive line room. We took you as the first pick. We spent that premium money on you. Now go ahead and be that next one helmet guy for us. And I think he's on that route. He's still got a long way to go. He'll tell you that. And everybody in that room will tell you that. But he's got the tools. He's got the mindset to do it. I'm excited for him.
I was actually talking to TA about him today. And one of the things I really like about the Steelers team is there's a genuine enthusiasm. Like, you can tell how much the coaching staff likes it. Like, TA is just talking about Derek Harmon, like, and he's like, the ceiling is just so high and he's going to be real. And then he's, he understands that, he's talking to us. He's got to couch things and like, there's a real enthusiasm for what's happening there. And I think Derek Harmon's going to be a really good player. He's already, I think that's something that, like, if you're an interior defensive lineman as a rookie, like, I feel like that is a difficult transition. I don't know, maybe you can talk about your rookie season, but like, I think it's one thing to go out there and play wide receiver. Like, it's certainly not the same as college, but it's not that different. This is a whole other animal than even the Big Ten.
I'm telling you, the offensive linemen you're going against, these guys are running 4.7, 4.8 40s, and they're putting up 225, 30, 35 times. So, you can get away with it in college, right? Where you 1 week you're going up against Wisconsin offensive linemen, country-fed Iowa boys, right? And then you get a little break, maybe a stat game against your Northwestern. No, I'm not throwing shade on Northwestern, man. Shout out Dean Lowry and fighting Northwestern guys. But
it looked already against Penn State this week.
It's different, right? It's different. The quality of the NFL is different. Every week you're seeing a guy that's like an Iowa, Ohio State matchup. And so it's tough as an interior lineman on both sides of the ball to get adjusted because these guys are not only strong, but they play fast. They're quick. And you put that together, it makes for some really tough transitions for interior linemen when they come from the college ranks of the NFL.
You played your first game later in your rookie season, I want to say. Like, what did you have a moment there, early on, like, oh, this is something entirely different than what I was used to?
We played the Buffalo Bills. That was the first game I played, and I'm looking across, and it's Josh Allen, and he's got Mitch Morse as his center, really good center. Think highly of him, and I'm just like, you know what? The first play I got in, I was in a 2-eye, got double teamed, did really well, got an assisted tackle, anchored down the double team, and after that, I was like, okay, like, hey, we can do this. Like, the NFL ain't that bad. And then the next play, I'm lined up on Mitch Morse, and he just snatches me to the ground. I look like a rag doll. And that's the thing about the NFL is one play, you're doing your job, you're feeling like the man. The next play you get got, but you got to remember these guys get paid millions of dollars too.
Absolutely. Alan and I spent a good bit of today's afternoon drive, on Tuesday's afternoon drive, talking about the matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals and kind of feeling like this is the matchup why the Steelers did what they did in the secondary and went about business the way that they did, reshaping it, going and getting Jalen Ramsey, going and getting Darius Slay, the way that they addressed those positions. When you look at the Cincinnati Bengals and how they match up with the Steelers. Obviously, the first thing you look at is that receiving core. Now they have a Joe throwing them the ball, not the Joe that we thought that we would see. But how exactly do you expect that plan of attack to go?
I expect them to pressure Joe a lot. Joe Flacco's, I think, 14-13 against Mike Tomlin in his career, so he's had his fair share of wins. Or Mike Tomlin's 14-13 against Joe Flacco. I'm sorry, whatever. It's one of those numbers. But Joe Flacco's had his fair share of wins, and Mike Tomlin's had his fair share of wins. And I think there was a sole reason why, Mike Tomlin kind of took offense to, Andrew Berry trading Joe Flacco to the Bengals, is because he's a solid player. He's one of those guys where he can plug in and play in offensive systems because, he's been a Stone Age guy. He's been around and seen it all, and he's going to get those guys, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, the ball. For me, if I'm playing Joe Flacco, I'm going to see how my four-man rush is. I believe you need more bodies and coverage. With a guy like Joe, if you watch how they play Green Bay this last week, Green Bay tried to blitz him a lot, and Joe Flacco kind of picked him apart for a little bit. He was finding open spots in the seams, the stick routes, the hitches, the curls. It was kind of open, and he was kind of dealing a little bit. And then when their four-man pressure was getting home, that's when you seen him hitch and hold the ball for a little bit, right? You can get more bodies. You can deploy different shells. And I think that's the game plan for me. Although I'm a huge pressure guy, I love when Pittsburgh lines up in their five-man front, pressures the heck out of quarterbacks. It's sexy. It's one of the best things in football. It looks super great when you got TJ Watt and Nick Herbig coming off the edge, right? But at the same time, you got to know who's the quarterback. Against a guy like Dylan Gabriel, who's inexperienced and hasn't seen that before, by all means, right? Go get after it. But with a guy like Joe Flacco, these older quarterbacks, like I said, Aaron Rodgers, the same way, they've seen it all, right? There isn't nothing that you can dress up and come out with a beautiful look in disguise and show them that they haven't seen. These guys have been around for 20 years of football. No disrespect to them, right? But there isn't no different coverage you can show them that's going to be like, oh, where do I go with this ball? There's a reason the Bengals went and got Joe Flacco, and that's because they believe that, one, they're still in the hunt for this playoff picture, and two, they believe Joe Burrow is going to be healthy by the time, and if they can hold the boat afloat by the time he gets back, they believe they got a chance. But you got to get after him early and often, and obviously shut down the run. If Cincinnati doesn't get a run game, the game's pretty much over.
Well, I think they're averaging like 50 some rushing yards a game. It has not gone well for them. The one thing I want to ask you is that we saw a good bit against the Browns is when they are able to get teams in third and long, that package where they have all three outside linebackers on the field at the same time. How fun is that to watch, and what does that do to an offense?
It's great. When you see your best players on the field on money downs, it means you did something right. That means you got them into a predicament where they didn't want to be in, and now the cards are in your favor. When you see Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, and Nick Herbig out there on the line, and it's third down, honestly, as a quarterback, your clock, right? You're thinking 2.5 seconds. Now it's 1.5 seconds. Like, I'm genuinely being realistic. I'm not exaggerating it. Nick Herbig is one of the fastest guys in the league off the snap. I think the only guy I'd say who's faster right now is probably Nick Bonito from the Denver Broncos, who I'm a huge fan of. Know him really well.
Yeah.
Nick's my guy, and he's playing phenomenal right now. But your clock as a quarterback, when you see those guys line up, has to be quick. Now, if I was offensive coordinator, the way I'd attack it is if it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, I'd probably check to an inside zone and run the ball. And you know who's done it a lot is the Detroit Lions. If you come out there against the Lions and you try to deploy these dollar fronts, these dime packages with 3 outside linebackers on the field, they'll check to an inside zone and they'll run it now, and they'll probably get 6 or 7 yards just because you're not expecting it. So give and take. I don't want to give too much ideas to any other NFL offenses out there on how to beat that front or how to go about doing it. But it's awesome when you can get into those one-dimensional situations and let those guys eat. By all means, it's the best thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay. Alan, I know I have one more question, but it doesn't necessarily relate to the right now. So if you have anything else, I wanted to get your thoughts on the future quarterback stuff. A lot of quarterbacks right now at the college level that I'm sure Steelers fans have their eyes on. Mm-hmm. I know last year you propped up Jackson Dart, and the early return on investment looks pretty good there for the Giants. He's certainly been a shot in the arm for them from an energy standpoint, him and Cam Scadabo. Is there a guy at the college level this year that you would be willing to plant your flag on?
Yeah, there's one guy, everybody's probably sick of me saying it right now, but Carson Beck. You know, and the reason why is just because when I watch Carson, one, he's in a system right now in Miami that's very pro style esque. He's under Mario Cristobal and I forgot the OC there. I was just his name was just in my head. But that same staff that was with Cam Ward and got him developed and ready for the league, right? Senior transfer in, first round, first pick of the draft, does all the phenomenal stuff you need. When I watch Carson Beck play football, does he have the ceiling these other quarterbacks have in the draft? No, right? But if I'm drafting a quarterback and I need a quarterback next year, Carson Beck makes me comfortable as a GM, and I know he can secure my spot. Because drafting traits in the NFL gets you fired, right? It either elevates you into a position of, oh, wow, you hit. But most of the time when you draft traits in the NFL, it never pans out, especially at the quarterback position. And most of these other quarterbacks, when I look at Dante Moore, I look at your Lenore Sellers, your Mendoza that plays, in Indiana, Drew Alar, that hype there. It's you're banking on these guys' ceilings being the next Josh Allen, being the next Patrick Mahomes, whatever it is. And part of the reason that NFL, execs are losing more jobs is because, like I said, you're drafting traits. Now, going back to Carson Beck, I'm rambling here, but I love the kid a lot. When you watch him play this week. He goes through a progression in the pocket. He doesn't panic. One, he's 6'4", 230 pounds. If I'm drafting a quarterback, I want my quarterback to be big. Why? It's because I know he'll take a hit in the pocket, right? That extra second of him not having happy feet in the pocket and just trying to scramble to go find a broken play or an explosive play downfield more often hurts your offense than it helps it, right? People see the Patrick Mahomes, they see the Josh Allen plays. Cool, it looks great. But what makes these guys good is their development. Patrick Mahomes went from happy feet in 2019 to now he sits in the pocket and he'll dice you up, right? That's what's scary about it. So Carson Beck, right, he doesn't have the highest ceiling. He's not as flashy as those guys, but as a GM, he's my guy. I'd stamp on saving a job, and you can plug and play from day one next year, in the NFL draft.
Joe Morrison of our site as well, probably gonna feel pretty good about you getting that
that's
stamp.
been Job's guy all year too. So
love that.
He's gonna rub that in our face also. It's wonderful.
He sounds like a good knower of ball. I love that.
Is, man.
He is. So randomly, so Jalen Ramsey on Sunday was the first Steelers defensive back since 2017 on Christmas to have a multi-sack game. Joe, like on the post-game show, threw that out there before doing any research. Like somebody in the comments asked when the last one was, and he's like, I think Christmas of 2017, Mike Hilton had 3.
I love that. You gotta be you gotta have people like that around you all the time, man. You need football encyclopedias, ball knowers like that. They come a dime a dozen, man. So if you run into one, man, keep them close. Keep them close.
Just an insane Rolodex. But yeah, Alan, I don't know if you have anything else.
That's it, man.
Okay.
Breiden,
you got a
so
lot of
much
stuff
for,
going on.
Coming on. This was great. I knew it would be. Always one of my favorite guys to talk to in the locker room. Maybe we'll see you back there. That'd be cool.
But maybe in a coaching position.
All right. I want to see Coach Fehoko.
That'll be awesome.
That would be, you know what they really I don't even know if I want this idea is so good. I don't even know if they should just prank the defensive line by having you to just have you come in and just start with the whistle, like
a real coaching position type. Like
just tell them hey, sorry guys, the look on, out sick this week. We got a replacement coach. It's just
the look on Cam Hayward's face is going to be hilarious. You have to capture that on video.
I would love to be there for that.
Appreciate it.
Joe was coach for Halloween. There you go, right there.
Yeah.
No, but good stuff. You have your hand in so many different things. We can't wait to see all of it come to fruition.
We're coming to get some of that barbecue.
Come on down.
That's non-negotiable. People watching, listening, I'm sure are fired up to see all that you got going on too. So tell the people where they could find you and see everything you got going on.
Yeah, follow me on X at Breiden Fehoko. Hopefully I can be the best follow you had in the last decade. You may like, or you may not like what I have to tweet, but hopefully I can be a voice for you. And you can follow me on YouTube at Breiden Fehoko 96. Just trying to give you guys good content and good videos about the game that I love.
There we go. And Alan, you know the drill.
Yeah, you can find me on @Saunders_PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now is the site's account, SteelersNow.com. Go there and read the words and sign up for SN Plus, where you get ad-free content, all the best stuff from me, DB, Brandon, and the rest of the Steelers Now team, and our October subs-only live stream, which is coming up later this month. And, of course, anyone can like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. It helps us grow our channel to a bigger and bigger audience.
Yeah, and we're not going to do the numbers thing because, peeling the curtain back a little bit. We are pre-recording this, and we're the exact same number that we are Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we might be above that number, and then we're going to be back down. So it doesn't make sense to do it. So we'll just tell you, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's keep adding to that number. And if you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, be sure to leave a 5-star review and subscribe over there. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing on TikTok, and then you'll find me everywhere, Zachary Smith, PGH. For Breiden Fehoko, Alan Saunders, and myself, thanks for jumping in and taking another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.